Hello everyone, I hope you're doing well. Today we're going to look at and shoot my Lee-Enfield No.4 Mk1 Star, produced by Savage Company here in the United States. So kind of a cool variation of the Enfield. Obviously British design rifle, British produced rifle, but during World War II, Savage would make just over 1 million of these for Great Britain through the Lend-Lease program. Let's take a closer look. Taking a closer look at the markings here, you can see that it's marked No.4 Mk for Mark 1, and then there's that little asterisk there for the star. Up top here, you can see U.S. property, so these were all marked U.S. property. This laser etching here, this is when it was imported in the United States. They have to do that. It's too bad, because I kind of think it takes away from the original look of the gun, but it's so common it really doesn't affect the value much at all. Here you can see the S for Savage, the serial number, and then the date 1942. So it's kind of cool. This is a 1942 produced. And then if we look on top of the receiver, you will see this U with the arrow. That actually is a mark for South Africa. So at some point, this rifle found its way into South Africa and would have been used by them. If you look closely here, I don't believe that the stock on this or the bolt is original to the gun. I don't think they're Savage parts. You'll notice this is like a parkerized finish, whereas this has black paint. So I think this was probably redone at an arsenal, maybe, or somebody did it. I don't know, obviously, the history on this gun going all the way back to when it was produced in 1942. But this black paint here on the lower and upper makes me suspicious, obviously, that not all the parts are original. And then we look closely here at the bolt. You can see there's black paint on this bolt as well. You can see the black paint inside here. That's not original to this gun, as well as the serial number on the bolt. You can see that it was ground down and obviously probably matched to a different rifle at a different time when they renumbered it, but that serial number on that bolt does not match the serial number on this rifle. So who knows? Who knows the story? And you know, it's pretty common with a lot of old military surplus firearms. They get reworked and cobbled together, and then people get their hands on them and do the same thing. So, but you know what? It shoots good and it's fun to shoot, so that's what matters, right? Also, what's cool, I was able to pick up a sling for this that, if I can find the marking, here it is. The sling here, you can see it's dated 1942, so it matches the date of the gun, which was kind of cool to be able to pick that up. Looking at the sights, this actually has two style of sights, and actually Great Britain would get rid of this later on just for speed of production. You can see it has just your standard peep rear aperture, but then it also has this ladder sight, and that's a pretty nice sight for being super accurate, getting precision shots out to, looks like 1,300 meters, so 1,300, or I guess it would be yards because it's British, right? So it'd be 1,300 yards. But they would end up doing away with this later on in the war just because it does take more time and resources, obviously, to make a precision sight like that. So they would just opt to have just this rear peep sight, which works great. I mean, it is what it is. And then your front sight is just a standard post. It's protected. That is two wings on either side, so you don't have to worry about getting your sight knocked around. So the Lee-Enfield rifle was designed with a cock-on close action. What we're used to in the United States is cock-on open, which is most of our modern rifles obviously are derived from the Mauser style action, which is a cock-on open, and everything from your 03 Springfield on up, right? So I actually like the cock-on close. I think it's cool. It's fun having a different variation, obviously, but you'll see when I cock the rifle, it's nice and easy. It's nice and smooth sliding back. There's no tension. But as I bring the bolt forward, and start to put it back in the battery, you can see the cocking piece here. It's cocked, and now I'm ready to fire. So the cock on close is possibly a faster action. I know that guys that were well trained on this rifle and had a lot of trigger time behind it could fire all 10 rounds out of this magazine in and around 10 seconds, which is pretty fast. And that's getting hits on target. That's just not throwing ammo down range. That's actually being effective with it. So pretty cool. Again, like I said, I like shooting it. I like the cock on close action. I think it's cool. It's fun having rifles that have different designs. Because you know what? Life would be boring. Everything was a carbon copy of everything else, right? It's fun to have different stuff to play with and shoot and experience and kind of nerd out on the history of it. So the ammo we are going to be shooting today is this Winchester 303 British. For those of you who don't know, this rifle is chambered in 303 British. Obviously, it's a British gun. So this is Winchester ammo with a date of 1981, and the head stamp reflects that. So this is 1981 produced, 303 British by Winchester, and it looks like it's mil-spec ammo. So kind of interesting, right? You can see that there's annealing here on the case neck of these cartridges, which obviously, you know, any quality ammunition manufacturer is going to anneal the case neck to help avoid splitting and stuff like that. But the military requires that the annealing be visible. So commercial stuff, they polish up the brass. It looks really nice and shiny. Military ammunition, they just leave that kind of two-tone look, so it can be visually, it can be immediately visually recognized that it's been annealed and it falls within like the specifications. And then also you'll see on the base here, can kind of see it there. There's a little bit of sealant in that primer. That's probably not the best one. I noticed the sealant on this is kind of sloppy. You can see here it's in the number in the head stamp here. But the red here, that's going to be some sealant for the primer. And then you can also see that that is a crimped primer. So that's been put in there so that primer can't accidentally pop out or whatever. Not that I've ever seen that, but that's also a military requirement to have crimped primers, just to make sure that everything works the way it's supposed to. So kind of interesting, right? Winchester in 1981 is making 303 British, and you know, I'm not the most educated person about everything firearms, but I'm pretty sure the US military was not fielding weapons that fired 303 British, at least not officially, right? So who knows what this was contracted for or where it was headed or where it went in the world, but apparently there must have been enough surplus. Maybe there was some overrun that it ended up in the surplus market, and I've got, I don't know, a few hundred rounds of this. So we're going to shoot it up because we can and because this is a fun gun to shoot. So let's get to it. This is some older ammo that I've got. I think it's FN is the head stamp, and this is 1948. So this is more, I mean, obviously this isn't World War II production, but this is closer to it. So this stuff's pretty old. I'm not shooting this for obvious reasons. If you can't tell, it's sat around for a while. Probably in this bandolier here, and moisture got to it at some point. But I just thought it'd be cool to show you some older ammo. The stripper marking on here is a M/175, so kind of cool. And then there's a 4 IV. So kind of cool stuff. And then you've got a marking here, which I can't make out very well, but it's an ink stamping here on this bandolier. But this was common during World War II. You know, you'd get issued your ammo in your ammo pouches. You'd fill those up with all your stripper clips full of 5 rounds, but then extra ammo a lot of times came in these bandoliers, right? And so it's got this strap. So a lot of guys, you know, depending on what you're going to be doing, you could throw a couple more of these over your shoulder, kind of weave it around your field gear, and that'd give you extra ammo that you could fill your pouches up with. Because again, you know, this time period, the battle rifles don't have huge ammunition capacity. You know, this one has 10, which is for the battle rifles of World War II, which I believe it's the highest round or highest magazine capacity. You know, your Mauser bolt action rifle, it's 5. Your 03A3 or 03 Springfield, 5. M1 Grand, I mean, you've got 8 rounds there and semi-automatic, so that makes that a pretty formidable weapon. But again, you're not running around with 30-round mags like you do nowadays, right? So you had to carry the extra ammo, and that was just one way to do it, is just, you know, throw a bunch of these over your shoulder so you've got some more ammo to harvest from as you go through your stock and your pouches. Before I get to shooting this and getting it all dirty, I wanted to just show you the bayonet real quick. And of course, like all my videos, I will shoot this with the bayonet on. But before we do that, I just wanted to dive into it real quick. I would say this is probably one of the crudest bayonets out there. It is just a steel, you know, rod that's been ground into a spike. I mean, this is pretty crude, but I assume also pretty effective and strong, right? I don't think this is going to break too easy. So the way this works is you've got these lugs that have been milled into the barrel, and then you've got the recesses here. You can see that match up. So you just line it up. You can see that it's spring loaded. Then we're going to twist until we get that positive click, and that's your bayonet. So pretty simple design. I would assume pretty effective. And like I said, you know, you don't have a blade you have to worry about keeping an edge on. You don't have to worry about probably the tip breaking, because like I said, it is just a steel rod that they ground to a point. So, and, you know, fast to produce, right? World War II, you know, Brits are trying to churn this stuff out as fast as possible. So you can make just a ton of these things, right, on any given day, and just crank them out and get them into the field. And that was the idea. The scabbard is pretty simple as well. It's basically just a metal cone that fits the spike, and it just pops on in there. Then you've just got your standard canvas fabric frog, and again, super easy to make, simple, not a lot of time to make this stuff. And I'm not sure if you can see the date on that. I think this one is a 1943. Hopefully, maybe you can see it. I can see it when I get it in the shadow, so maybe that helps. I don't know, but pretty cool stuff. I enjoy bringing it out and being able to show it to people, and maybe somebody can learn a little something, or maybe it motivates you to want to get an Enfield, because they are fun guns. They're fun to shoot, and it's a cool piece of history, especially this one, right? It's an American produced, so this has, you know, kind of multiple layers of history. It's an American produced, British designed rifle, made for the British before we are officially in the war. And then this one obviously ended up going to South Africa at some point, and then made its way back to the United States. So kind of a cool long history on this gun. So let's get it out, let's get to shooting and have some fun. Okay, we are at the 100. We're gonna do 5 rounds and see how we do. Oh, pulled that one. It happens. All right, pretty cool. It's functioning good. The only accuracy issues are on my part, not the guns. So let's push it back to the 200 and see how we do. All right, we're at the 200. Let's see if we can get 5 rounds on that plate. Come on. So I got different strippers here. This one is like a parkerized finish, and I found like the parkerized ones are, I don't know, I guess they create a little more friction, so the rounds don't want to come out as easy. whereas this one has got some wear to it and it almost looks like maybe a black paint, but these are definitely a little bit smoother in terms of loading. So let's get these 5 rounds on that plate, see how we do. Use my precision sight here, toss the rear bag on. All right, we're at the 300. Let's see how we do. All right, rifle's clear. I'm going to toss the bayonet on because we have to. All right, locked in place. Back down at the 100. I'm going to put 5 rounds, or attempt to put 5 rounds, standing with the bayonet. That was a miss. Impact. Impact. And 4 out of 5. So it's interesting with this bayonet on. It's got a lot of play. I don't know if you can see that or not, but it has a lot of play. I'll do a close-up so you can see better. You can feel it. It definitely causes a little bit extra wobble than you'd prefer on the gun. But then again, this gun wasn't designed for super precision shooting, right? It was designed for fighting wars. All right, well, that wraps up the video for today. I appreciate y'all coming out and watching. I hope you learned something. Hope you enjoyed seeing this old Enfield shoot. If you don't have one, I encourage you to go buy one. Find one, try to get a good deal on it, learn about the weapon, learn how to shoot it, and just enjoy it, enjoy the history. These are still really cool guns, even though, I mean, this design goes back to very early 1900s, so this is pushing 120 years on this design. Obviously, there was some changes that they made for World War II, which is what this model is. but I'd love to get my hands on a World War I manufactured infield, and hopefully I can find one at some point and make a video on it. But until then, I hope y'all enjoyed. Have a good one.